everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to be doing the commentary / analysis of episode 19 of Miraculous Ladybug season 5, Pretension. Yes, I'm doing Pretension first because it comes before Revelation. I will film the Revelation one straight after this and I will edit it ready for tomorrow, but for today I'm just going to do Pretension, so yeah, there you go. But before I go any further, I'm about to spoil the whole episode for you, so I will try my best to find some places where you can watch it, but I will make no promises because of all the leaks and stuff. They've been really cracking down on extra information that shouldn't be on YouTube. I will try, but I make absolutely no promises that I'll be able to find the episode for you. And speaking of the leaks, I haven't read the show Bible or seen pretty much any single leak, and someone asked me how I've managed to do that whilst being on YouTube. I hate to break it to you, but I don't really watch much Miraculous content apart from Cartoon Apocalypse and Miraculously Lazy. My YouTube recommendations is filled with videos on The Legend of Zelda, so I don't get recommended them, but I would really appreciate it if you didn't comment any leaks, because in this video I'm going to be speculating about what happens next, stuff like that, what's going to happen in the rest of the season. And I don't know what happens, and I am aware of what the leaks are from, what episodes they are from. They are from episodes after this one. So if you haven't seen the leaks, I would really urge you besties not to seek them out. I don't know personally which channels are safe, but I can only speak for myself. I am trying to keep this channel as leak-free as possible. My mods are working hard to keep the comments leak-free as possible as well. So yeah. I don't know. Please be careful. And to those of you who have read the show Bible or seen the leaks in whatever capacity, please just be respectful of how other people want to enjoy the show. I have said, I don't know how many videos I've made this week, but like in every single one of them, I said like, I don't, you know, no leaks. And there's still been them. It's just cruel and mean and unnecessary. Okay, please don't spoil the show for other people. If you want to spoil it for yourself, go ahead. But please don't do it for other people. Thank you very much. And one last thing before we go on. If I come across as slightly tired in this video, it's because I am. First of all, I've been doing PhD work all week and I was gonna have today off to relax. Because, you know, like, I didn't expect doing this today. We literally only found out, what, Thursday this was happening. We usually have a bit more notice. When I'm autistic, I like to have a bit more notice, so I was already a bit like, okay, that's great. And second of all, I was also up until 1 AM recording with the Miraculous Besties podcast. So I am slightly tired, but not too tired that I can't do this. So yeah, and I'm also funnier if I'm slightly tired. So yeah, okay, so let's get into it. This episode, oh my god, quick thoughts, solid 10 out of 10. I thought this episode was amazing. Oh my god, had really good pacing throughout. I don't know if I've said this before, but something I really value in my own writing and when I watch or read something else is good pacing. Not too slow, not too fast. And I thought this episode did an absolutely brilliant job. It had great character development, great relationship development. And when I say development, I don't always necessarily mean like good development, like the development between Gabriel and Marinette with their relationship was obviously quite negative, but you know, it was, I like seeing it, if that makes sense. When I say development, it doesn't always have to be good development, it literally just means change of some kind, whether it's good or bad, you know? But that was all great. I loved all the Senti monster stuff, and I also really liked that there was a lot less focus on the Akuma fight. As most of you know, I don't actually really like superheroes, so I don't know why I like this show. I'm not the biggest fan of them. So I do usually appreciate episodes that have a lesser focus on the Akuma fight, which this one seemed to. So let's get into it. And we're going to start off with Maurice, Adrien's bodyguard, the absolute best boys. They're in the car on the way to fencing. Adrien's on the phone to Marinette. And she's like, we've got this time. And Adrien's like, don't worry, we'll be fine, we have this time. Maurice is gonna let it fly. And his little smile. I love him so much. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season, but just let Maurice adopt Adrien. He is best guy. He was great in Catblank, he was great in Protection the other week, great in this episode. All around great guy. I love that man, I think he's great. So now let's talk about the healing bed scene up in the lair. So we already kind of saw that in the trailer, so I was expecting that. And how the Kwamis were all like, you can't, first of all, it's against our will, second of all, like, we've already told you, magic can't heal this. But I guess, like you say, he's just trying to buy himself some more time so he can win. But then Mitsurugi was up there, and part of me when I was watching the episode was like, I really want to see how him telling her he was Monarch went down. But like, also from what they said in that scene, it seems like she's known about the butterfly and the peacock Miraculous, assuming Kagami is a senti monster, which like I wholeheartedly believe now. Like, heavy hints and emotion, but for me, like, this episode pretty much just confirmed it. So it would seem that Mitsurugi has known Gabriel is Monarch or Hawkmoth, or that he just had the Miraculous before he started being a supervillain for 14 years presumably. But I would really like to see, like, I know we got a bit of like kind of flashbacky stuff in Revelation. I'm not really going to talk much about Revelation in this video. You have to wait till tomorrow, I'm sorry. But we did kind of like get some like flashbacks there. I don't believe we saw Mitsurugi in any of the photos Natalie took or whatever, but I would love to see a scene of all these like adults as maybe like younger adults, maybe like, I don't know, like 21 or something, and how that conversation went down with the peacock and the butterfly Miraculous with Natalie in Tibet. I'm just really intrigued to see how it all began. Just give me one whole episode of them all together as young adults and I'll be happy. But does anyone else just find it absolutely gross? And don't find this gross because I don't ship Adrien. Like, no, I don't ship, that's not the reason why I find it gross. How Gabriel and Mitsurugi are like, oh, they're made for each other. I just find it disgusting. Like, because, so I know Master Fu said that like about Adrien and Marinette, right? Or Tiki and someone said it. I think it was like, I want to say like Waze or Master Fu in Origins. They were made for each other, but he meant in like a sweet soulmate kind of way. Like, oh, they've found their soulmates, they're meant to be together. Whereas when they're talking about Kagami and Adrien that way, it just comes off as disgusting. Maybe it's just because of the people who are saying it, and because it seems that they literally created them as senti monsters to be perfect and perfect for each other. But it just disgusts me every single time. I think it's gross. But then as well, the lens, the spyglass thing from the end of Risk, the one Felix used. When on earth did Gabriel get that? I'm assuming it has to be in an episode we haven't seen yet, because Adrien had it. Now, Adrien hasn't done anything with it, or of course he could have done something with it, and that could have been the moment where Gabriel was like, hey, can I have that please? But it seems a bit strange that it's only following Felix's scent on that thing. Surely it would also follow Adrien's scent? I don't know, but that was interesting. Like I said, we are missing quite a few episodes, so I'm assuming Gabriel got it back from him. Adrien did pick it up, right? I know, like, at the end of Risk, that's when Strike Back Senti Monster appeared, so he didn't really get time to really think about it. He literally picked it up and I was like, what's going on now? Some sort of earthquake going on because of the sets were so big. And I guess the day of that episode didn't really end until multiplication / destruction. I'm still a bit hazy on the exact timeline, but it was still very interesting. So I'm assuming Gabriel got it back off him in the episodes in between when Adrien was trying to use it, and Adrien's position doesn't seem to have really changed in his views on anything, so I'm assuming he didn't find anything out. Gabriel probably caught him before he found anything. That's what I'm assuming. But anyway, back to the kids. Kagami, absolutely hilarious. I know when they stood outside school and they've come out of fencing and Kagami's like, oh, didn't you used to be that crazy fan who would follow them around and buy random things? And she's like, excuse me! That was hilarious. But then, oh my god, Marinette got in the car. Like, I agree with her. I was like, yes, you probably should talk to Gabriel, babes. But I was like, now? Now? Marinette du Pencheng, you have balls of steel, apparently, because I need at least 6 to 8 working months to prepare for that kind of conversation. So they arrive at the house, Maurice is like letting her in, no problem. And they go for pancakes because apparently, maybe it's just a French thing, but pancakes are the kind of snack you have at 4 PM after school. Alright, whatever. And Gabriel, so creepy in the scene. And you know what, I feel like his voice actor in Portuguese sounds good, happy, but the voice actor for Gabriel in English, any of these kitchen scenes where he's being nice to Adrien, make me feel so uncomfortable. I understand that's more than likely the goal, but his voice actor in English, he creeps me out when he's happy. I'm sorry. I think he's called Keith. Keith, please never be happy again, alright? Because you sound so creepy. You sound like you're gonna murder someone. Okay, you sound creepier when you're being happy than when you are angry or sad or intentionally being evil. I'm sure you're lovely, but you sound creepy. Which I guess is the goal, but it's also creepy. Okay, I'm creeped out every time I hear you in English. So Gabriel sends Adrien away, and I do have to question, like, I know he was gripping the spatula, but he doesn't actually touch the ring. He's just, I have my baby Yoda mirror. He's just like gripping it, but he doesn't touch the ring. So Does it work the same that way? I don't know, but it does seem to have some sort of sentimental effect on Adrien, because he goes up to his room and he's just stood by the door looking very, very scared. He's like, I want to go, I know I want to go, but I physically cannot move. And it was just great confirmation. Oh my god, the podcast, I don't think we finished recording by the time they were having this conversation, but Wise Kids started talking to, because Cartoon Apocalypse was on as well, he started talking to Adrien about the Senti Monster stuff, and whilst we were recording, these episodes were airing, so none of us had seen it, but I was just like, I wonder what Aiden's gonna think of this now. But anyway, so it was really powerful to see Adrien though, his face like that, where he's like, I want to go and help her, I know I should go and help her, but I physically can't. And also when he leaves her in the kitchen, like the way it like really zooms in on their hands as he leaves her, so good. And honestly, I think like this whole, I'm gonna call it the pancake sequence. The pancake sequence was executed to absolute perfection. The whole scene. So it was just perfect, using the pancakes as a metaphor. Like Gabriel's like, I can give you whatever you want. Triple pancakes with jam and bananas, whatever. But the only thing you cannot have is my son to share them with. You can have anything you want, as in he can give her a career, but you cannot have Adrien. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy. But then there was also some interesting commentary on like fashion as a whole. It really kind of felt like it should have been a scene out of The Devil Wears Prada, which is one of my all-time favourite films. I love The Devil Wears Prada. If you haven't seen The Devil Wears Prada, what are you doing with your lives, besties? Okay, you see Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek the 3rd, you can skip the 4th one, and Devil Wears Prada, okay? Maybe The Princess Diaries 1 and 2 as well. They're great as well. You can kind of tell what films I like. Anyway. But the whole scene was amazing. And then Marinette. So she leaves the room, she's like, I lost my appetite. But then she's like, you know what? You know what, Gabriel babes? She didn't say that. She should have totally called him that. She just ignores him, runs up to Adrien's room, tells him like, it's gonna be okay, I love you, we'll be fine. Then as she's leaving, she's like, yeah, I may be a baker's daughter, but you know what's good about being a baker's daughter? I know your pancakes have whatever rubbish ingredients, I can't remember what she said word for word. Do you know what I mean? Where she's like, there was too much flour, not enough butter or eggs, or I don't know how to make pancakes, can you clearly tell? But it was just like, yes. It was just, it was absolutely amazing for her to stand up to him like that. It was so good. I want Adrien to have a similar kind of moment, maybe even more anger fueled, because this is Adrien and it's been building for probably even longer than what has been happening with Marinette. It was just absolutely amazing. I loved it so much, and I'm assuming that kind of means like whilst Marinette like could be fairly happy in her life, if she did accept Gabriel's offer, she would know she could never ultimately be happy, because she would know how she managed to achieve that. Like, I feel like Marinette wants to achieve this on her own merit, which I totally get. And it's kind of like taking like blood money. Am I using that phrase correctly? Like, yeah, you've got all this money, but you've got it from like nefarious means. That's what I think the phrase means in my head. I think it is. So it was amazing, but then absolute mood. She was like, yeah, peace out, Gabriel. She left, and then around the corner she was like having a panic attack, and I was like, Marinette, that's an absolute mood. As someone else with anxiety, whenever I stand up to someone, in the moment it feels great, but as soon as I leave I'm like, oh dear God, what have I just done? But anyway, so that was kind of like it for the Adrienette in the episode. So now let's move on to Felix. And I just want to preface this by saying I don't particularly ship Felix and Kagami. I think they're kind of cute together. I don't mind it, I don't hate it. They could have picked a worse pairing, but yeah, it's not my favourite, but I do think it was kind of cute. It was executed well in the episode, so I didn't completely hate it. I feel like it could grow on me. As Kagami says, they barely know each other. They probably so they met in episode 9 last season and then in Emotion. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think so. So like, you know, I guess technically with Fleur Middle, Ryuko was used in Strike Back last season. Oh god, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen Strike Back now, besties. But either way, they've had minimal interaction, so she's like, you barely know me. So maybe this ship will grow on me more as the season goes on. I know this is episode 19, so there's not much time for them to have more interaction and for this ship to grow on me. But maybe I'll just change my mind as I finally get some sleep tonight. But anyway, so I love the whole scene though, how Felix was on the car. I thought it was very interesting that he was basically following Kagami over Adrien. When I first saw that image of Argos on the roof, watching Kagami and Adrien, I for sure thought he was going to be there for Adrien. He's there for Kagami, which I guess speaks to how Felix is starting to feel about her. Although I feel like it could be interpreted as Felix just wanting to take care of her since he thinks she's a senti monster and I think she's a senti monster. So I feel like it could be interpreted that way too, you know, not necessarily romance. It could just be like, I'm the peacock holder, so therefore I must take care of my children. I don't know really. So I thought it was interesting he was going for Kagami over Adrien. But I feel like maybe he thinks Kagami is a better target because Kagami has her amok. That's why he gasped at her ring in emotion. He's like, you have your amok, you're going to be much easier to like get on my side or whatever. So then when Kagami's mum starts talking horribly to Kagami, Felix is like, I'm not having it, gets his fan out, destroys the roof somehow. I'm not quite sure how exactly that works, but he did it. Okay, whatever, Felix. But then the car is like, what's it called? Tatsu is like the sunroof activated, and I'm like, is it really the sunroof though? Or is it just someone ripped a hole in the roof? That was hilarious. I absolutely loved it. But then when Kagami's mum gets akumatized, I was like, why does she have like 4 alliance rings in the car? It was just bizarre. But then again, Gabriel just being so darn creepy. He was like, oh yeah, we'll do this, you get akumatized, we'll get Ladybug, Cat Noir's and the Peacock Miraculous back, and then our kids can get together. It's just so creepy, and maybe I'm more creeped out because it seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere. Like, I know it's been building this season, but prior to this season I don't believe we've ever heard anything about Gabriel like pushing Kagami and Adrien together. So maybe if it had been hinted at from like season 2 when Kagami first arrived, I would have been less creeped out by it. But I don't really feel like it has. Like, I know Gabriel's been kind of supportive of Kagami and Adrien. They went to the event together in Animaestro, and they also went to London for the royal wedding, because why not, in Backweather? Yeah, Backweather. So he's been obviously more supportive of Adrien and Kagami than Adrien and Marinette, but it's just still, I just find it so weird because it's only been brought up this season, which is just like more of an issue with the whole season, or I guess the whole show in general so far since Kagami's arrival, that it hasn't been mentioned before. But maybe that, well, I mean, to be fair, I also think it's gross as well. I don't know, there's a couple of reasons why I think it's gross, but anyway. So Felix takes Kagami to top of the Eiffel Tower, and again, like, I feel like what he says to her in that scene where he's like, I can't stop thinking about you, I think it could be definitely reinterpreted as in a romantic way, but it also could be like, and the Peacock Miraculous holder, it's my duty to make sure you're okay. As he says in later on in the episode, I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but like there was some interesting like senti monster commentary where Felix says like, senti monsters aren't meant to be controlled and stuff like that, they're to be nurtured and to be cared for like you would with an actual child. So whilst I did think Felix was very sweet to Kagami, and it could be interpreted as him maybe having feelings for her, I do also feel like it could just be like Peacock Miraculous business. He's the peacock dad. He's gotta look after all of his kids. I don't know really, but it was still cute. Although all these kids need better dating advice. He's like, oh yeah, I've been following you and spying on you, and Kagami's like, even Kagami, who was socially inept, is just like, stop that. That was great. Also, all the stuff with the scent was very interesting. But oh my god, was that a Akuma villain with like the, was it like a dog or a wolf or something? Scary, oh my god. And then Marinette, when she sees it outside her house, like, I mean, yeah, her reaction to turn into Ladybug, but if I saw that, I think I'd probably have a mental breakdown on the spot, to be honest, because it was so scary looking. I was like, alright. She had like a fairly measured reaction, and I guess she's seen many different Akuma villains, so that probably is a normal reaction for her, but I was just like, alright Marinette, you're not scared about this massive thing? Okay, mate. There were other couple of interesting things as well. So when Cat Noir is fighting alone at the Eiffel Tower after they split up, he's like, this might not be a bad idea, like let them get Felix so we can get the Peacock Miraculous, but Ladybug is like, no. And what I'm hoping, so I rewatched Emotion last night so I could like watch them all in order basically, is that Marinette, because basically like she did the lucky charm and nothing came, and she basically had to have faith in Felix that he would revert everything and bring her back. Because he did that, it's shown to her that he has some capacity for good. So while part of her reasoning definitely was, if they let Kagami's mum get the Peacock Miraculous, then it could fall into Gabriel's hands, which I completely understand. But I'm also kind of hoping part of her reasoning is that it can also be used for good, because they totally had the opportunity down in the sewers before Kagami's mum arrived to force the Miraculous off Felix. They totally had the opportunity. I'm pretty sure they could have done it if they tried hard enough. So that's what I'm hoping is, and I definitely think after this episode, I had suspected it before, but I definitely think that Felix could work with them. Whether he becomes like permanently on the good side, I don't know, because right now I would argue Felix is still very much an anti-hero. Whether he like crosses fully into being a hero or he's going to stay in that grey area anti-hero middle ground territory, I don't know. But I think right now this episode showed how Ladybug is changing her feelings towards him, also Kagami as well. Not so sure about Adrien, but Adrien always kind of loved his cousin, so I don't really know with him. But I definitely think this episode, and as Motion as well, has been a really good setup for Felix either becoming a hero permanently, being on the good side permanently, or at least like a hero for the remainder of the season. Like, I feel like Felix would totally come back in the finale to help them with whatever it is they're gonna do. And again, if you read the leaks, I don't actually want to know. I'd like to speculate, but I don't want to know. Thank you very much. I also thought the scene with Kagami was really interesting, where her mum found her after she basically beat up Felix. So much wrestling this season, oh my god, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. But Kagami's mum tries to shoot venom at her, and Kagami's like, what's going on? It obviously shows her mum does want to control it, even though her mum's saying like, yeah, you control yourself. It's like, no, at this point it's gone too far. I want to control you. And I also thought Felix's plan was great, where he's like, I don't care about fighting, I want to keep you safe. Again, like I'm saying, Felix crossing over to the good side, and he snaps the fan so they're following this pigeon with his scent rather than him. Great idea. And then back to the other senti-monster stuff. In the car, Kagami's mum is like, give me your ring. You don't have like the mental capacity to be able to control yourself correctly. And she hands it over. But then in the cinema later, Felix has the real one, so she can still control herself. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because Kagami is still going to have to obey her mum, otherwise her mum's going to know that she doesn't have the real Amok, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is just before the final scene, is the bit with Gabriel Babes, Adrien and Queen Natalie in the kitchen. Probably eating Gabriel's, turns out, really not that nice pancakes, according to Marinette. Honestly, I don't really like pancakes, but anyway. And Gabriel's like, you're going to London, and Adrien gets very angry. And I am very intrigued about this. Like, I'm not really sure how you think it's gonna solve anything. Like, I mean, yes, the Eurostar from Paris, London is expensive, but it's not completely unreachable for Marinette and Adrien. And obviously he doesn't know the Ladybug and Cat Noir, he doesn't know about the flying and stuff, but like, it's not completely impossible for them to see each other. You should have sent him to like Japan or something. Somewhere is a lot harder for Marinette to get to and a lot more expensive than London to Paris. Like, if I wanted, I don't even live in London, but if I wanted, I could be in Paris before the new year. Like, if I wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm too tired to do that. But I could be. So like, in my opinion, it's not that far enough away, but I guess Gabriel's also selfish and is like, yeah, I don't want you near Marinette, but I also want you kind of near me at the same time. But yeah, I'm a bit confused exactly, other than like he's kind of trying to do this to get Adrien under his control and get him to listen to him. But yeah, I mean, everything Gabriel's been doing this season is just unnecessarily cruel, to be honest. And I think it's another reason why the last two parts is called The Last Day. I think it could allude to a lot of different things other than it being like the last episode or whatever for season 5 and the last episode of the original arc. But I've always said I feel like it could allude to the last day of school. And just a bit on Revelation, as we found out in Revelation, there's only 2 weeks of school left. So Revelation's episode 20, there are 6 more episodes to follow, because obviously Action is not canon. 6 more episodes to follow, so it seems the last day will be the last school day. But overall, this episode was great. I mainly felt a lot of anger in this episode with Gabriel just being horrible and Miss Tsurugi not being the greatest, but Felix was very sweet. The Adrienette we got was really cute as well, as you all know. I love Adrienette, so I would give it a solid 10 out of 10. So whilst I do have some questions like about the lens and some other stuff, the spyglass, whatever we call it, I thought it was great. And right now I'm torn between MVP for Kagami or Felix, because I feel like they both were great in this episode. I don't know. Kagami or Felix? I literally am 50-50. Okay, I can't decide, so the MVP, double MVP, Kagami and Felix, because I physically cannot decide. So that's what I thought of Pretension besties. Of course, I would always love to know what you think of Pretension besties. If you're going to write me an essay, I can't wait to read it, but I have terrible eyesight, so if you please could put some paragraphs in just so it's a bit easier for me to read, that would be marvellous. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I thought it was a great episode overall. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. I can't wait to hear what you all think. So I'm gonna get changed and film the revelation video, and the revelation analysis will be up tomorrow. So I'd love to know what you thought of this episode, besties, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!